So yesterday I came on live. My Wi-Fi has been acting up. I'm hoping I fixed it today. We shall see what happens. So if it cuts in and out, please let me know. But I'm really enjoying kind of going live. It's an interesting process to make your stained glass on live. So yesterday I did my very first garden stake. Having very limited information. I'm a beginner to stained glass, learning how to make stained glass in general. But I got these really cool copper rods to make garden stakes with. So I thought I would go on and kind of continue the process and see how it goes. Yesterday I made a sunflower, or cut my sunflower on the live, and it went really, really quickly. So I do, if all goes smoothly, I'm going to talk about what I learned yesterday. As you can see, it's a little bit messy, which was to be expected. And if all goes well, I do have more glass to cut for more potion bottles, so I'm gonna do that. I am gonna pull up my comments really quick, just in case. I know it's super early. But in case anybody's on or wants to say hi or just chime in. It looks like fingers crossed for everything. I do have one that's ready to be foiled, but foiling is kind of boring on a live, especially from the angle, and there's not much interaction. You have to really focus on it. So I'm just gonna get started. So the last time that I made one, which was yesterday, you can see it's a little bit wonky. You can see it come through the clear glass up here. When I was originally doing research on these, I was told that there has to be 3 points where it touches. So no matter what, it's gonna have to go up to that top. So I thought I might as well go up there. But it turned out that you actually, it depends on the weight of the actual piece. And so if I go to here, perfectly fine. So on the next ones, that's what I'm gonna try to do. I also learned that I was having really a lot of difficulty. I did film this because my live cut out, so I do have this on film of how terrible the process went. And so I learned that the copper rod has to actually heat up before the solder will stick to it. I thought it was something with the flux, but it turned out that is not the case. It is actually because the copper rod wasn't heated up enough. Let me get this going too, my soldering iron. So today I'm gonna take what I learned from yesterday and I'm gonna put it into practice on these 2 here, and then I'll probably cut some more glass and see if anybody jumps on or anything, or kind of talk about what I'm learning in the process. I will also say that I think that I figured out my temperature for a beaded edge on the soldering iron that I personally use. I don't have a Hakko. I will eventually upgrade to it, but excuse me. I have a 70-watt Weller right now, which is decent, but it's not made for stained glass. So there's a couple of things that you have to learn about and adjust. Sorry. That you have to adjust when you're using a Weller that doesn't necessarily correlate with the other Hakko soldering iron. One other thing that I know is that my tip, let's see if I can pull this off. The tip of it is not that wedge, and so that's causing a lot of issues that I'm having too. So those are little things that that I'm learning along the way, especially if you are using a Weller. And this is the 70 watt, so it's not the ones that are like 30 bucks. It costs like 80 bucks. I also learned on the Weller, or soldering iron in general, to get smooth lines, you have to increase your temperature. So I went up to 700 degrees, which was great. You get the clean lines, although it doesn't look like it here, but it's a different story. However, I learned that at the 700 degrees, the copper foil will melt. So if you're tinning your piece, you have to lower your temperature as well. Just a little thing that I kind of learned about. But I'm just gonna get started. I generally wear a plastic glove for soldering, so I'm gonna start with that. Once I switch over, this copper rod is absolutely gonna heat up significantly, so you definitely want a heat resistant glove if you are ever working with these. And I did, when I was on live yesterday, I suffered my first, didn't suffer, I had my first like legit stained glass injury twice. There's another one up here. So that was such a weird experience. And I will say, I didn't have solder, so I ran out to get it in the only location near me that had anything. And I am not a fan of the Hobby Lobby solder. I feel like it smokes a lot more. And I know I don't use the best quality flux, but definitely a difference between this one and the smoke. and the one that I get on Amazon, which are both 60/40s. And I just have to remember to lower my temperature when I'm ready to tin the edges. But for now, I'm gonna start with this. I definitely think I add too much flux as well when I'm working on a piece. Um, Not intentionally, still just kind of learning the basics. And I'll probably just kind of get quiet and get going. Probably should have tinned the other side while I was on it, but we're gonna do this side first. Well, actually, because I know I have to lower my temperature on my soldering iron, I'm gonna solder the main lines on this one first and then lower it. So I'm gonna lower my soldering iron because yesterday I learned that at the 700 degree for that smooth line, on the Weller at least, it melted the copper foil when I was tinning it. I've gotten a lot of comments recently about how I need to increase my increase my temperature, and specifically how to solder, holding it in a specific way on the soldering iron. And when I did that, apparently with the Hakko, you hold it to the copper foil, let the solder drip down. It didn't work at all. So I don't know if it's an issue with me or my soldering iron, but it's not worth the risk today for me to even attempt that. Good morning, Anne. Sorry, I'm trying a different layout with where my laptop is, so, and I don't have my glasses, which is a terrible idea in general. So I might not be great on comments. But this is what I made yesterday. The back is very messy. I learned a lot throughout the process, but that was the first one. So today you can see the actual copper through there. So today, after a little bit more research, I learned that I can actually just do the 2 points that it touches at. So that's what I'm gonna try today. And pray for the best. At the end, I'll go up and clean up the lines again. Just let this cool for a hot second. Definitely too much flux on that one. I saw later that you were on live. I liked it. I wish I would have known. I would love to see you walking around the community. Why'd you have to take it down? Yes, so the plastic gloves, I only use them when I'm not actually touching. I mean, obviously sometimes I get up here, but extra caution when using these. And once I switch to the copper rod, I'm gonna use a heat resistant glove. I've watched a lot of videos on the beaded edge. I've taken all of the tips that they provide. I got tip tinner. I do everything that, you know, people talk about doing, and I think it's something with my actual iron and the temperature, but it still rarely works for me. So I'm still learning how to do that with the iron that I have. And when you tin the edges, theoretically, your beaded edge should drip down the sides and kind of give that beveled look on the tinned edges, but it has not worked for me on any project that I've ever done. So I do wonder if it's the actual tip that I don't have, like the wedge tip that I don't have. I'll have to check it out. Thank you for telling me, because that sounds, I mean, the area that you live in is so gorgeous. Although I will have to look up the time zone, time difference. And so I'm just tinning both these edges at once, because I know that I have to lower my temperature even more when I do my beaded edge. So it's just a little bit easier. And I'll go through and fix my lines. Thank you. I did see on videos too, when you say clamp, do you use an actual like clamp, or do you have a board that it sits in? Because I've seen those where people get like a 2x4 or whatever it is and just make a slit in it. And I think that's what I'm going to end up doing, because I'm really struggling with gravity and learning how to hold all of the different things at one time. But I don't have anything right now that I could use. I tried setting it up between like items, you know, books or anything like that, and it doesn't really work. Ooh, that could have been a disaster. And this is not normally how I hold my soldering iron at all. I'm just struggling with the angles that I got today. So I know from yesterday that I have to lower my temperature significantly. Not significantly. I'm gonna test this out because yesterday when I was doing this, I have tried everything on my Weller to go from 370 to, and I'm in Fahrenheit, 370, 420, 450, 500, and the beaded edge just was not working with my tip. Speaking of that, I'm gonna tin this really quick. And yesterday, I went to 483 and it worked perfect. So I'm gonna see if it works again today. The apples, it's clamps. You haven't finished. Even if you posted it on like a post. Oops. So I could just see the picture of it. Step away when you do your tip because I have a cut, so I'm going to keep a plastic glove on too, so I don't get lead in case I accidentally have lead inside of my heat resistant. And I hope my Wi-Fi sticks it out. Okay. So when I used to do this, it would not pick it up at all. So I think this is the correct temperature, and I'm very excited to learn about this. Because this was a big struggle. This probably is not the correct way to do it. You're supposed to smooth it out, I think, as you're going, but I'm just so excited this is actually working. And also finding that flow to make it smooth on the lower temperature is very challenging. Which is where that wedge tip would come in handy. Oops, to redo that one. Probably the cleanest beaded edge that I've ever done. I'm gonna try and see if I can show you. It still needs some work. I mean, there's a little bit of bumps and improvement, but definitely a lot cleaner than I have ever done. Thank you. I would love to see it still. Can you send like, I don't think this platform has messages. I mean, you should see my first one. It was a lead came version. It's terrible. Horrible. Even the all the first projects I did in copper foil were also not good. I posted them. And then you get to post your progress. Oops. So I can tell that my piece is kind of angled a little awkwardly, which is where those clamps would come in handy. And this is where I struggle because, excuse me, fixing the edges is a different temperature than fixing the solder line. And so where it hits always looks a little bit messy. But if I put it too high, it drips off the side. So not quite sure how to tackle this, but we're gonna see. These moments I'm always thankful for patina. Covering up all the mistakes. Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, please let me know. Also, it's pretty cool that you're combining like pottery. How long have you done pottery? I'm sure it'll be beautiful. This is why you wear heat resistant gloves. I don't know if you just saw that solder just. That's cool. I've been looking into doing like bases because I want to smaller pieces, but especially with these copper rods. And there's no way to really display them aside from in a plant. So I've been looking into like wood bases. Also some pieces like I don't want to hang. I really want to do, I don't think it's a candle holder, but like a 3D version, because I think with the candle holders, there's a little bit of an issue with the heat. I don't know how that impacts, like if it's going to eventually melt the copper or if it's not that hot, but I really want to do the 3D ones. And I'm probably gonna fix this again once I do my rod, so I don't know why I'm spending so much time on this, but. Okay. So now I'm gonna take what I learned with my copper rod yesterday and kind of adjust a little bit. The first thing that I learned was that you can use brass or copper. I have copper rods. And one of the things that I really struggled with was the solder sticking to the copper. So I thought like I was doing something really wrong. I'm gonna put it at like 600 for this because I don't know the actual thing. But I thought I was doing something really wrong because it just was not sticking to it. I thought it was flux, all of that stuff. It turns out that you need to allow your copper rod to heat up or the solder's not gonna stick to it. So today I'm gonna kind of figure out where it's gonna go and then tin the whole thing. I don't know if you can see on screen or not, but I didn't tin this and afterwards, so there's like half solder, half copper sticking through. Excuse me. So I'm gonna tin it, allow it to warm up, and then it should go a lot smoothly, assuming everything works correctly. So this is the front. Hard to see that there's the texture glass on this one. So we're gonna do it on the back. And I'm gonna kind of figure out how far down. Not that it's really gonna matter because I'll probably go below it a little bit, not intentionally, just because that's how it goes. So some people said to just hold it on there, let it warm up. Some people would like rub it, and then once the solder started to stick, they would know it was ready. So you can see that it's kind of sticking on there. And I'm just gonna tin what I can, because I think it'll make it easier to work with. And you can see some spots are and you can see the solder, I'm gonna move this, falls off because it's getting too hot. So that's another thing too, where you don't want a ton of it on there while you're doing this part. Hopefully you can see. And now that it's warmed up, I do wish that this would be a little bit flatter down here, more pressed to it, so I would probably next time get something to hold on the bottom half. And now I'm just adhering it a little bit more to cover it, because I don't want this falling apart and, you know. I do wonder if there's too much of a gap on the bottom, but it's only my second time, so we're learning. So next time I would definitely put it a little bit closer to the piece, or try to, but it seems like it's gonna be okay. I know it's really hard to see right now, I will show it in a second. Fix, oh, and I forgot to do the beaded edge on the bottom, so that's, sorry if I'm covering the screen. Good thing I flipped it over. Well, I will say that this is much smoother looking than the other one. That's what I thought the 2 points when I was in, I need a drink of water, I'm so sorry. I'm in a couple of like Facebook groups for stained glass, and everybody is adamant, not everybody, there are a lot of people that are really adamant, you need 3 points. So that's why I did the first one the way that I did, but I just want to show the backs of them. I mean, the difference, this was yesterday's and this is today's. So you can definitely see the improvement there, which is wonderful. Kind of regretting not just filming this one so I could show the two progresses next to each other. But this definitely feels like it's gonna hold up just fine. And then you don't have the rod sticking through the clear glass, which I really like. I'm very thankful for black patina right now so that it can fix up all my edges. I think it's pretty good. So I'm gonna do that on the next one and keep going. This one I have to do the beaded edge on still. So I'm going to lower the temperature again. And that 480, 483 seems to be the perfect temperature. Yeah, I think it had something to do with the designs of your actual pattern. I mean, on this one, I definitely wanted to be safe rather than sorry. But I 100%, I'm kind of upset I did the green because I loved that green. I should have tried it on a different one, but yeah. And I'm sure I could go through and clean this up a little bit more. Extremely difficult when you don't heat up that copper rod first. Have you done stakes before? I know you said you've only done like a couple of smaller projects, but curious if you're familiar with all of that. I don't think anybody knows how satisfying it is to figure out the beaded edge temperature. Still need a little bit of improvement, and I don't know if it's from the temperature. Where it's not as smooth. I know when the other people do it, they tap along the line, and I think that causes like the waves to not exist, or the little, so hard to work with a glove, like those little bumps in your solder. But my iron won't do that. And learning to hold still is another thing that I'm kind of getting a little bit better at. Because if you don't, your solder kind of goes everywhere. So you can see how rough, or hopefully you can see how rough that is. It's like as soon as you lift it, it kind of creates this ripple effect. It also works so much better when it's just a level area. Do you use lead-free solder out there, Anne? Or do you guys use lead? I want to switch to lead-free, but I know there's huge differences. Not huge. There's adjustments to using it and how to make it flow a little bit better, temperatures and all of that. But I think I'm gonna switch over to it. I know it's more expensive too out here at least. A little. Yeah, ours is 6042. The lead free seems like it's easily double the price. I do this outside with like the garage open, all the doors open. And even when it's coming to me, I kind of put my head away, but I would really like to do the lead free. I was talking to a friend about it and he was very concerned about. Then I did some research and it turns out that more people are concerned about bending and the glass shards getting into your lungs versus this. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing with this one and the copper rod. I think this is a 3mm thickness. I'd like to try the 2mm and see how it is. They're very sturdy. I'm just curious if it is a significant difference. When you're working with them. Yeah, open air for sure. It's terrible when it like wafts straight in your face too. Oops. Did I miss your answer on the pottery? How long you've been doing that? Or did you not want to answer? That's okay too. That didn't work like I wanted it to, but that's okay. So I'm trying to prevent less of a gap. It looks like it worked. Less of a gap as there was last time. And once you kind of get the feeling for this, they're actually really easy to work with, the stakes. Don't want to jinx myself. Learned that yesterday. So the bottom one seems to be a little bit more finicky with how the solder rolls because it's not as thick. Obviously there's not like a thick solder line, it's just tin down there because it's one, I don't know how this angle is, one sort of layer. But it's not bad to work with. I think I just got lucky with gravity on that one. Not bad. I definitely like, this was yesterday's, the first attempt, and I definitely like not seeing the copper rod. So I hope that when I do these designs, any of them, these are just like little potion bottles or whatever, but I do hope that all of them either don't have clear glass. I'm gonna have to make sure that that doesn't happen, or I can go below that point because it's a big difference between the two of them. And definitely cleaner from yesterday. I mean, I'm sorry about your back problems. I wasn't getting excited about that, but that's pretty cool with the pottery. I've done pottery in high school. We had like pottery. My mom, way back in the day, used to have a kiln, but I think I wasn't even around at that point, or I was extremely young. So they did like more ceramics versus pottery, I should say. Pottery is a beautiful craft and a lot of work. So good for you. So I'm gonna continue kind of cutting glass for some more of these. These ones I obviously have to go wash, patina, wax. I am curious how these hold up. They're not really meant for outdoors. You're not sealing them with the cement. So I think I don't know if I would ever test it outdoors or not. I know that when you put them outside with the wax, something this small should be okay, but I don't think I would ever want to risk it. So yeah, so I'm gonna continue cutting glass, kind of clean up a hot second here, because these are a really good pattern for me to practice not only the garden stake aspect, although this is really easy, and I think I'll probably end up hanging a couple of these, so putting a hinge point or a jump ring here and here, I'd imagine, that top one, so they hang a little lopsided. I wish I had some sort of tag to, like, you know, like Alice in Wonderland, like drink me or something cute like that, but I don't have good handwriting to do any of that stuff. So I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit over here so I can actually work. I'm a little bit concerned about my hand today. It wasn't that bad of a cut. I just don't want to injure it again. I ended up slicing my hand in the same spot I sliced it earlier in the day. And that wasn't even the bad one. Absolutely. Thank you so much for chiming in. I really appreciate you. I'm just going to be back here cutting. Just trying to clean up a hot second here. That is one thing about stained glass is you need a big working area for all of the different steps. Okay, glass cutter. I just have to find my actual glass cutter that I use. Because I can't use this one. My hand doesn't work with it. You as well, Anne. Thank you so much. This only works about 50% of the time with me, so I'm testing out to see if there's a limit on the curves that you can do, if it's the glass, the thickness of it, but this is either gonna work or it's not gonna work. That one stinks. That's all right. So when I go to grind, I'm gonna see if this one actually connects with one of the other patterns. And if it's too much of a gap, which I think it might not be, so we should be good. Oops. After yesterday's debacle, I'm a little bit intimidated by the smaller pieces, so bear with me. Kind of a beautiful color glass. I hope they look cool. Ooh, that is not a fun sound when you're cutting glass. It's either gonna work or it's not gonna work. This is a complete experiment. I have no idea if this is gonna cut or not, or tap when I tap it, if it's gonna work or not. I see videos of it and I'm just gonna try it. Because of how like long the curve is. Oh, it worked. Kind of shocked. I'm gonna try it again. It sort of worked on that one. That was probably my fault for holding it awkwardly. That one did not work, but obviously my line extended straight ahead instead of following the curve, and I wonder if that's why. I'm trying to figure out how that tapping method actually works, or if it's just a 50-50 shot. So that's all right though. Clear Glass definitely breaks a lot easier when doing that. thank you for everybody who joined me today. I ran out of glass to cut, so I'm gonna get to grinding. And hopefully some people enjoyed the content today. I will see you next time.